Hey everybody, thanks for watching. My name is Chris and this is a YouTube channel show. And this is Harris After Dark or whatever it's called. We're not sure. It's the handicapping show. We're going to pick all the games against the spread. It's me in a flowery shirt, kind of palm frondy shirt. And it's Jim McCormick. Jim, hi. First of all, hello.
Hello.
Hello. And second of all, could you stand up, please?
Yeah, there's my Chicago Vice.
They have Uzis, is that right?
You know, when I think of Walter Payton, I think assault weapon. You know, it's a little disappointing. So sorry to disappoint everybody, but this was the '80s. Conflicting messaging.
It was a much more violent time.
Sweetness,
probably not actually.
Sweetness, but yeah. Yes.
Yep. And I, in this particular episode, am going to play the role of the healthy person, and Jim will be playing the role of the person who has COVID, who's promising not to cough on the microphone. How's the quarantine going?
It's going pretty well. I got a call from the Chargers, see if they just. It really was just to coach Brandon Staley on fourth downs. But then we also went into COVID policy and stuff, and he was like, "Yeah, we're not going to do any of that." So,
okay, all right. Well, it seems like that's the Chargers have their heads on straight then, and they're going to come up later in this program, as is every team in the NFL. Before we start here, we have to say, Jim has COVID now, but last week when we recorded the show, he had COVID in his body. He hadn't tested positive yet, but it was in his body. And I think, Jim, that we're pretty clear that's what caused both of us to have a terrible week. Certainly.
Sure. I mean, listen, the stress was in the air. It was like we'll talk about this guy too. It's like relying on Carson Wentz during a COVID season. It's just difficult. So
relying on you during a COVID season proving to be a bit difficult. What your record was 4-12?
4-12, and that was an upgrade over what I thought. And it just, I mean, at one point I was like, all right, I'm around 500, and then there was like a 3-minute flurry of everything not finishing. So.
In the early window and in the late window, I went 4-10. I didn't pick two of the games. That was where I beat you last week by abstaining. I choose not to vote. Yeah, it was a rough week. We're both obviously under 500 for the season. Not only that, but our best bet, we both coincidentally picked the Steelers to upset the Patriots, I guess, at home. It still doesn't seem right. And, I watched the game live. I talked about it on the podcast. It doesn't make any sense that the Patriots won that game. Actually, some people out there might have gotten Steelers +3 because that was kind of the final line. And that one you pushed at least. We did not get that line, though.
That was rough. I'm not going to lie. That was a little rough. But it's kind of, it captures the season so far for me a little bit, which is just, it reminds me of just an endless series of wide receiver threes, like these teams. It's the infinite sadness. It's the infinite sadness of the middle tier of the NFL.
No more. This is the week where we go back to our winning ways. In my case, in your case, you break out of the slide. I swear, I think 4-10 is like one of the worst weeks I can ever remember doing this. But hey, it happens. Before we get going, actually, but let me put the glasses on, because before we get going, last week we asked you to put your best bet of the week down in the chat, and we would pick someone at random to shout out. LaShawn Dunn had the Bills covering a fairly good-sized number on Monday night against Tennessee. I think it was 10. It wasn't close. Well done, LaShawn.
That was pretty conclusive, that one.
It was pretty conclusive. That team's gonna be on a list here in a moment. Are you ready to get to these week 3 games? I think we got this. I really do. I think now 2 data points. We totally know these teams.
First of all, everyone knows that it's like the third week is when everything makes sense. So it's a saying
in the NFL. Yeah. All right. So the Thursday night game, we'll start out with that. Steelers at Browns. This line opened at Browns -3, and then people saw the Steelers play, and it quickly went to Browns -4.5. I think celebrity producer Dave Piper in the background right now is tremoring, thinking of the Browns being a 4.5-point favorite with how they've looked so far. Who would you take in this particular?
Yeah, I mean, but we can be honest in this space, right? I mean, the Steelers stink, right?
They really do. Well, the offense.
Yeah,
the defense is
this number still more than reflects that. Like, I still can't get around that. So I've learned my Jacoby Brissett lesson for the season. And which is just, it's obvious, right? Like, just do not give many points with Jacoby Brissett. I'm going to take the Steelers. I'm taking the points here. Yeah.
Wow. You have not learned your lesson, apparently. You learned your Brissett lesson, but not your Trubisky lesson. I'm gonna take the Browns. I set this line at 6, and the fact that it opened at 3, went to 4.5, made me feel either smart or dumb. I think smart, but then we'll look back and maybe feel like it's dumb. I agree that the Browns are looking to play a close game, and the Steelers are looking to play a close game, and that means that a field goal game is always in play, and that's what you're counting on. For me, I don't think it's hard to play defense against Mitch Trubisky. I'm changing my tune. I mean, I didn't think he was easy to play against. Yeah. I think it's
that bad.
I trust the Browns here. I trust the Browns. All right, so those Bills, LaShawn's Bills, who look like a wagon,
they do,
as I like to say on the show. You know, they look like the team. This is the one that everybody is going to be comparing themselves to, I think, all year. When you get the Bills, you better bring your A game, all that stuff. Kind of like the Patriots were for a bunch of years there, kind of like the Chiefs have been for the past couple of years. It really feels like that mantle has been passed on to the Bills, and we'll see. You know, they're going down to Miami. They're big road favorites. Maybe not as big as I expected, if that's an indication of where I'm going with it. But it's another one that jumped 1.5 points after the Monday night. It started at, I think, 4.5 Bills, and now it's at 6.
Yeah, the Super Bowl Twitter crowd was very vocal on Monday night.
You're kidding me. Wait, Bills fans on Twitter were vocal?
Yeah, and everybody else was liking their tweets. Their heads were getting huge. But seriously, the Bills are really good, and they're also creating. I know this is like these stats are only so static so far, but you know they have the second highest pressure rate, and they're not blitzing. Like, so they're getting to you without having to sell out for it. Obviously, there's a Von Miller effect, and obviously there's an effect of being up 30 every game. But this Dolphins team, their defense isn't that good. Like, it's really not very good yet, and I think that's going to be an issue against this particular team. And I don't think they're going to be able to keep up in this boat race. So,
Bills.
Yeah.
I don't even know that it's a boat race. Do we really trust the Dolphins' explosion in the second half? Last week, it was a couple of really weird plays. I love the 2 receivers, obviously. But, I had Dave Kluge on my show, and he was quoting stats about how, they're making so many plays down the field. And I love Dave, and he was making good points in general about definitely, like in fantasy, you should be using these receivers no matter how tough the matchup. Dave is 100% right about that. I just don't know that I'm believing I didn't see them throw down the field very much against the Patriots with success. Like, it felt like one half where the Ravens defensive backs kept falling.
That's what it was. They were misplaying that so badly with the 3 safety look. It just wasn't working. So
yeah, I think they blitzed like crazy with a big lead. It's just weird. It was a weird Ravens thing. I remember when Wink Martindale was the defensive coordinator, they didn't do stuff like that. But hey, you got to move on sometimes, I suppose. So we are both on the Bills, and we will give the 6 points. We're going to get to the rest of the games in a second. Let me thank DraftKings for sponsoring this show all season. If you're looking for a place to play the games, we really do recommend DraftKings. If you're in one of those magic states where Sportsbook is okay to do, both Jim and our producer Dave happen to be in such states, and I am sitting in a state where you can't do that. But if you can, they've got a pretty cool promotion. If you get a new DraftKings account and you make a $5 bet, they'll put $200 of free bets into your account so you can play around and just see what kinds of wagers they have. They have all kinds of parlays. It's a fun place to play, and we do recommend it. We just recommend that when you get the DraftKings app or go to DraftKings.com, use the promo code HarrisTube. That helps us out. It makes them realize that advertising and supporting this show that I hope you like works. So if you're interested in finding a place to place some of these bets that we're talking about today, please use the promo code HarrisTube at DraftKings.com or with the DraftKings app. And with that, we will proceed back into the games for week 3. We've got the Bengals, 0-2, weird 0-2 team, going to the Jets. The Jets are not good and somehow won a game. And yet, I would say part of the reason maybe there's some Browns hesitancy is that of all the comebacks in week 2, the Jets were like in shouting distance until the last 2 minutes, and then it was crazy. But like they were in that game, probably a game they shouldn't have been. Made me think maybe they're not quite as bad as we thought, but the Bengals on the road are favored by 5.
It might just be the Joe Flacco versus the Browns thing. I love head-to-head matchups like that. This one's difficult for me because it's like Cincinnati's been really bad, and Vegas keeps respecting them, right? Expecting some big bounce back. I had this at 3.5 to 4 points, so I'm actually going to take the Jets. So yeah.
I have 2 no plays this week. I guessed this line exactly. I said 5, and it is 5, so I will stay away from this one. But the story with the Bengals, 100%, is, and it's so illustrative of what the NFL media is like in the summer, Jim, where if you just sign a couple of new players for the offensive line, everyone just goes,
it's
well,
fixed.
obviously they fixed
that.
Right. Obviously that's going to work. It's like, you and me, like having terrible contractors on our new restaurant. By the way, what's our new restaurant?
I believe it's called the Russell Gage Cafe.
The Russell Gage Cafe, and we have this terrible contractors, and we fire them, and we just hire some random dude. Hey, you look like you could be a contractor. The Bengals didn't fix anything, and so they are the Russell Gage Cafe of the NFL right now. Joe Burrow's in a lot of trouble. He's getting hit. I mean, like, I had that game right last week. Did you take Bengals or Cowboys last week? I can't remember.
Yeah, I took the Bengals. That was bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I took the Cowboys. But like, I didn't think it would be that bad again. And it strikes me that the fact that it's that bad twice makes me think you're going to see the Jets get home in this game. So anyway, it's a no play for me. And I can tell you're not super enthused to take the Jets, but
that's how it feels. Yeah, to take the Jets. Yes.
Yeah.
But
indeed, just in general. All right. So the Raiders go to the Titans, both 0-2, both coached by people who I think the vast majority of the NFL public hate because they were Patriot players and coaches and stuff. And therefore, obviously, I have to love them because I'm a Patriot fan. This is the Raiders on the road as an 0-2 team giving 2 points. How about that?
Yeah, very different vibes, though, with these coaches. Like, Vrabel's got the cocky bouncer thing. He's, like, working the front of the house. You know what I mean? Right. And McDaniels is cooking the books in the back. So,
he's
at the Gage Cafe.
Counting money. These guys really are good employees. Like when I was slamming our contractors, I'm perfectly happy with Vrabel and McDaniels in work. Just to be clear,
but we don't have official titles because of prior contract things. It's a Belichick thing. So in any case,
they're all getting paid by their previous teams. Yes. Absolutely,
yeah. I am going to go with the Raiders, and I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't think they're that good, but I also think that this Tennessee team is particularly bad right now. Not just last week, but just. They don't know how to close games. They have to sell out to get pressure. The loss of Harold Landry is huge. And I think the Raiders can move the ball on this team. So
I'm going to go the other way, but I understand what you're saying. I think these teams are pretty close. And so to talk to me about the Raider defense some, because I know you're probably paying a little close.
They have 2 good edge. It's all the edge. Max Crosby is literally one of the better edge guys. He's like a huge pressure guy, creates tons of pressure. And then Chandler Jones is nice. After that, it's like they love like 15. They love linebackers that are way too big, and they are in love with safeties that are like these downhill hammers. Like the Jonathan Abrams type. So they're not that good, to be honest. But I also don't think the Tennessee has the personnel to like hurt where they're bad. So.
Well, for sure, Taylor Lewan isn't going to play this game, out. And so no matter which defensive end they line up against the left tackle, it's going to be a challenge for sure. The thing is, that strikes me as the profile that a Derrick Henry team should be able to exploit.
Right.
I don't know. Like maybe that's just over. But I'm going to give it another week anyway. I'm going to say, but I hear what you're saying about the Titans. They're probably, I kind of judged this summer that they were the same Titans. They haven't really looked like it. They haven't been boa constrictoring team. I mean, they were never going to do that to the Bills, but we think back to week 1, and they should have won the game. They should have won the game, but that doesn't obscure the fact that there's no way they should have been close. I mean, they should have killed the Giants. So if they were what they were, what I thought they were going to be. So we're on opposite sides, but we both are feeling nauseous about it. We got the Saints going to Carolina. The Saints, we both had them, and it was the right call through the entire game against the Buccaneers. It was the right call. It was the right call, and they just couldn't. I mean, it's Jameis. If you back Jameis, you get what you deserve, I guess. And now on the road, they're a 2.5-point favorite against Carolina. What do you think?
It's incredible. I mean, just the fact that the symbiosis between Matt Rule and Baker Mayfield, both being this verifiably bad at their jobs. No, but seriously, it's bad. It's bad.
sorry to interrupt. When I
Yeah.
watch Baker Mayfield, this last game, I said this in the podcast, but like every bad tendency that we wished he could get out of himself in Cleveland, it's like Matt Rule has gone, yes,
go
bring
for
it,
it.
yes. Like the second you see pressure, just start running around.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. Try it.
He's playing
It just doesn't work.
Freebird every time. He's just listening to the crowd. Like, you know?
But Jameis isn't much better, unfortunately.
No, unfortunately. But I'm truly just like, I think like if this was 3.5, I would take Carolina.
Okay.
It's enough. It's enough. It's inside the kick. It's enough for me. I just think the Saints are that much better of a roster. I know both teams are desperate to an extent, but I don't calculate that into this because, like, who said it? Maybe Ben Gretsch said it this week. Somebody said it really well that like one of Baker's like super skills right now is avoiding giving the ball to his best players throughout his career. Like it's and it is this thing he keeps doing where it's just like don't like it's like almost an intentional subterfuge or like I don't get what it is. So.
Yeah. Well, DJ Moore scored a touchdown, but he also like had 4 catches.
Right.
I don't know. I'm also on the Saints. Actually, I'm not gonna do this for every game, but I want to ask you about Carolina's defense too, because I think Carolina's front 7 actually has something.
It does have talent. Yeah, I mean, well, they have like Shaq Thompson, who's still really good, and then obviously Brian Burns is a stud, and then they also have big guys up the middle, like
who's the new guy, Kuvu or something?
Yeah.
He's good. He made a bunch of plays.
They're good at recognizing front 7 talent. The problem is their secondary is awful, and I don't think it's good. I honestly just think that Baker is going to be in the way, and that this is just that bad of a Carolina team. Like ruled.
Well, if it's a difference of a point, you're obviously not telling people like to bet the mortgage. Probably generally don't bet the mortgage. That's the advice of this particular of in general the Russell Gage Cafe. We have signs up that say don't
bet the DoorDash. Yes, yes.
Don't bet the mortgage. We both are on the Saints there, -2.5. The Patriots, my beloved Patriots. I don't feel strongly about this team at all. I'm losing my heat for this team for sure. They are hosting the Ravens, who had they just like had a clue in the secondary, they'd be 2-0. They probably wouldn't be mad, and maybe this would be a place where the Patriots could do one of their typical, we're going to win 3-2, we're going to try to win a hockey score. Instead, the Ravens hopping mad. Again, I don't really care about motivation. The Ravens have a funny history, and I don't care that much about that except for John Harbaugh. I think him and his coaching staff have choked at various times against the Patriots in ways that he doesn't usually choke. But if you like the Ravens, you have to give 3 on the road.
I am giving the points.
I am too.
I don't love it. I understand the whole Belichick home dog thing has always it's like this crazy against the spread. He's 15-4 as a home dog or something. That doesn't matter for this game. But
no. Tom Brady played on most of the
right. But what factors in for me, like the motivation thing, does make sense to me in the sense of the way that game got away.
Right.
It really was an egg on the face game, and I just feel like this is the kind of team with the kind of like resolve, an AFC North type team. Like I just think they get it together. They're well coached. If we're gonna give deference to Belichick in all these moments, we should give some deference to like Harbaugh being able to get these guys back in line. Meaning like they've lost in some shoot yourself in the foot way. Like even week 1, they were in their own way. And against the Jets, they should have destroyed them by even more. I just think it's the better team, the far better team. And
let me ask you this: there's a theory out there that has borne some fruit in the past, but maybe less so recently, that Belichick is great at taking away your one thing,
right?
And that it's Lamar, and so they will find a way to have Lamar not run by hook or by crook and make them play piano left-handed or whatever. The thing that they always say that Belichick does. Put any stock in that?
Not particularly. I mean, this is also maybe a time that his personnel was better defensively too. He had more of those chess pieces, like those Dante Hightower types who just were like awesome. But I do put stock in the sense that he does want to isolate you. Like he's a great coach in that sense. I still think he's going to make this difficult. That's why it's 3 points. Like that's why I just think it's a better team. But what I also think is that Baltimore doesn't necessarily have to be one-dimensional.
I agree. Well, plus, isn't Lamar a hard one thing to take away? Because I don't think he's a bad thrower. Like, if you're telling me, we're not going to pass rush, we're going to stand here on the sides and never let Lamar run, I kind of trust him to beat that secondary.
There's a real tax on taking away his running, too. So, like, if you're going to do that, I mean, I watched Jalen Hurts he's not nearly as dangerous with his legs. He's dangerous, but he's not nearly as dangerous as this guy in terms of it's gone. And you have to change your approach. You do, like when he's there.
Yep. All right, we're both on the Ravens there. We have the Lions at Minnesota. This was 8. This started at 8, and that was after the Lions win in week 2. And then people saw the Vikings against the Eagles. You got that one right, I believe. Yeah?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
no,
you didn't?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I definitely did not. I felt kind of strongly on Minnesota last week, and let's just say that was not one of the games that was close and really unjust in its result.
Right.
Like, we learned a lot about those two teams. So the line dropped from 8 to 6 after that Monday night game. It's Vikings home against the Lions -6.
It's interesting in the sense that, like Philly's already been a common opponent for both these teams. So just I've been able to see at least them play in this regular season, like post Hard Knocks. I think the Lions are just bigger up front, like on both sides, particularly on offense, and I think that could be a problem for the Vikings. I think they're a little small. I know it's only just one sample, and the Eagles are going to push around a lot of teams, but they were like really willing to be vanilla and sit there in this I don't understand what their plan was, Minnesota, to have these like light boxes all the time against Philly. I don't think it's going to work against Detroit either. I'm taking the points.
Okay, so I'm going to take Minnesota here, but I do think you latch on to something pretty funny, which is that, Mike Zimmer suddenly he was like everybody's uncle, and people in the media just loved him, and they just went, oh, that curmudgeonly old Mike Zimmer, yeah, he just kicked a nun.
Yeah.
When Mike Zimmer's nice, whatever, I like him. And then on a dime, as soon as he got fired, everyone was like, we hated him. The NFL passed him by.
Right.
What a jerk. How are people feeling about Mike Zimmer after that performance? Like, Troy Aikman correctly on that broadcast was pointing out, like, dude, you have to do something else. It's not working.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting back and playing cover 2 and not disguising a thing isn't working. At least we know, Jim, that Mike Zimmer would not have done that.
No, he would at least, yes, he would like throw things and change glasses and like things would happen.
Bite an intern on the sleeve,
yeah.
Or, like throw a pie at a
crack
lady
some
in the
Oakleys.
stands.
It would change,
Yeah. No, I mean, that was a bad defensive effort. However, I just continue to I think that was a weird game, and often Kirk Cousins, after he gives you a real crap show, he turns around and plays fine. He's not as bad as he looked on that game.
I think Detroit's pretty good, is what it is. So
Sure. And maybe this game's going to make me flip my assessment of these two teams, but I'm gonna let my assessment of the Vikings from the preseason be a little sticky here,
sure,
and think that there's an explosion.
And week 1 happened, right? I mean, that right. did happen. So.
And I'm not telling you I think the line is crazy. I had it at 7, so it's at 6.
Right.
I'm not telling you it's crazy. If it had stayed at 8, I would have taken the Lions. So there you go. Your Eagles, as I like to call them. That's usually what I call them. Mm-hmm. You've never heard me say them anything other than the word Eagles, I assume.
Just that, yeah. Other than that, I mean, the birds is just really for people who have like a ladder on their roof, on their truck, or their roof. Like whatever you want.
Or a Hitchcock fetish.
There you go.
Possibly. That was a deep cut. They go to the Commanders. They go to Washington, D.C. That line, in conjunction with the Vikings getting worse in Vegas' eyes, that line started out at 3, Jim. It started out at 3, and the Vikings, the Eagles were favored.
Yes.
It started at 3. It didn't stay at 3. What's the line instead?
Woo, 6.5. Wow.
Oh, man. Yeah. Vegas loves them some Eagles.
They do. They do. This is too many points for me. Now,
is this you just protecting your emotions?
This is too many points. No, it is just too many points. But he see, the reason that I could be okay doing this. I had this at 6. Eagles 6 -6.
Okay.
And then we're gonna finish with that.
I had it at 4.
Jack Del Rio, this guy when he was a kid rooted for Judge Schmales in Caddyshack. He is he thinks John Wick is nonfiction. This guy, Jack Del Rio
There's some very fine people on both sides. I understand.
I'm just saying that I really do think we talked about Minnesota being just like living and dying in this cover 2 shell. Just watch this week what Washington does. So actually, I'm flipping. I'm changing. I'm giving the points. I can't do it. I can't support a Jack Del Rio defense. They're so bad.
So your point about what you think Del Rio will do is essentially keep it vanilla.
Yes, and he's gonna do this thing where he doesn't pick his poison. He's gonna do what Minnesota did and just let Jalen Hurts choose. And I don't think they have the personnel anyway. Like, everyone talks about Jalen Reagor. These guys took Jamin Davis over CeeDee Lamb and over, like, this is a bad franchise in terms of how they've drafted, and it's going to show up on this field.
Yeah. I get, okay. I have Washington only because of the jump, right? I mean, if it had stayed at 3, goodness, I would have loved to have gotten Eagles at 3.
I think they're last in defensive DVOA, like, since the start of last year. I think they're the worst defense in football.
The Commanders are?
Yeah.
So last week was like a disaster until it wasn't.
Right.
They suddenly stopped the Lions in the second half. They really, I think it was 22-0.
Jared Goff kind of did too. He he kind of, yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, maybe I'll look back and think the Eagles really are a super team, but this is a super team kind of line.
It is. It's a Bills weirdo line, yeah.
And like that's why your first reaction was to say that's too many points.
It is. Then I thought about it.
But I got some email from some service after Monday night's games that said the Super Bowl favorites have been decided, Bills and Eagles. And I went, okay, well, if that's the basis on which a line is being decided, then I don't necessarily agree with that. And I will say, Jim, I've been hard on Jalen Hurts on the show. I came on I don't know if you listened to
I did,
Monday.
I had to listen to the Jalen,
Yeah, like he was awesome in that first half. He wasn't so awesome in the second half.
Right.
He definitely, that interception wasn't good, and like he took his foot off the gas for sure, but he was awesome. And if that's him, then they maybe are a Super Bowl favorite. But like last time I checked, the Buccaneers are still in that conference, and the Rams are still in that conference. Like anyway, I don't like the line, is what I'm saying. All right. Back in whenever, they probably thought that when they made a Chiefs-Colts matchup in Indianapolis, they were lighting the fuse for a fun, exciting something, Jim. It was going to be like Fast and Furious 14 or whatever they're on.
Yeah.
And instead, the Colts have now dropped 2. Well, I guess they tied one of them, but both of them were pretty humiliating. And this Jacksonville game was really humiliating. So the Chiefs are on the road in Indianapolis, and they're giving 6.5.
I mean, if we're going to go based on barbecue talent, Indianapolis has this, okay? Like, there's...
Wow.
I mean,
is that an accepted opinion? I'm a vegetarian.
I think it's they do boiled turkey dogs is their main thing there.
That sounds bad.
I don't know. I'm making it up. It sounds terrible. Okay. I'm kidding. Indianapolis has no barbecue reputation.
Okay, good.
That being said, this is too many points. I think they're desperate. This is basically like a "Are you alive?" Like it's a stick. It's a stick to the chest. Like what's going on, Frank Reich? Like
being poked.
Yes.
Yeah. I took the Chiefs. I said it at 7, so it's a 6.5. This game opened at 3.
It did, yeah.
And has gone as high as 7 in some places. And I like 6.5 better. 6.5, when you take the favorite, often you feel like the fool, right? You want to buy the hook.
Right.
Maybe people should buy the hook because, you want to not get screwed. But I guess that would be the other way around. If you're on the Colts, you'd buy it. So you might be buying the hook.
Yes, no, exactly. I would want the full 7, yeah.
Right. But I'll take the 6.5, actually, and the Chiefs win by 7. I'm good. Yeah, Matt Ryan, man. Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
Everything I've said about him the last couple of years is now exploding in people's
He might just take like several weeks to get the arm. Oh. It's like, how Nick Foles takes like 18 weeks to get warmed up? Like,
Well, so Michael Pittman didn't play, and that's going to be Pittman will play in this game, and that will be a difference. And like, they're not going to be as incompetent as they were against Jacksonville, but Kansas City is. If really Buffalo's not the favorite, then Kansas City is. They're really, really good.
They backed their way into a win against the Chargers, so.
Okay, but didn't you think the defense?
No, I mean that's how good they are.
Pretty well.
I'm saying that's how good they are. That they can stumble, make all these tactical errors, and still overcome a team that's playing well.
And I think by the end of the season, we're going to look back on that Charger game and think that the Chiefs actually did a pretty good job on defense. That Charger team is.
It's really good. Yes.
Hooded.
Yeah.
So, okay, we'll be on opposite sides on that one. We've got my other no bet of the week. I've got the Texans at the Bears, and I set this line as -3, and it actually is -3 as of our recording this. So no bet for me, but how about for you?
Yeah, I would not go over 3, but I can handle this. This is going to push, just so everyone knows. But at the same time...
I think you should bet on the push.
Yeah, just bet. It's like a boxing outcome. Bet the draw or like a poor decision. Right. But really, it's just I feel like you can't like I watched the Texans last week and they're bad.
Yeah.
And I know
Dameon Pierce had a nice game.
And the takeaway is
Yeah.
that Denver's bad or that Denver was poor. But, man, both these teams are really bad. I'm just going to go with, I think, the team that has the better defensive line, and that's the Bears. So.
Okay. I have this one as a no play. Let's say those Chargers we were just talking about, they are 7-point home favorites against the surprising Jags, who decided that they would do what they always do, which is beat the Colts at home, and suddenly they're getting huge respect. That line was started at 9, and it moved down to 7, so a lot of people decided they liked that Jacksonville team. I'll start by saying I think that's crazy, and I will very gladly give the 7.
Yeah, I'm giving the 7. I just, this is a much better team. I understand this feels like a huge line. If it was over 7, I had this at 7, so I'm comfortable with it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You're comfortable with it. All right. See, if I have it at 7 and it's at 7, I say I stay away.
Right.
But you like it at 7.
I think they can clear this. Yeah.
I said at 11.
Wow.
I was surprised it was within a touchdown.
Right.
Obviously, Vegas originally agreed with the 9, and it got bet down.
Sure.
So wise guys clearly did not agree. But I think offenses like this, and I'm not positive that the Chargers are an offense like this yet because they weren't last year consistently. The Buffalo right now, the typical Kansas City, just these offenses that can do 50, and you go, yeah, that's them. I admit that's not been the Chargers yet, and we keep waiting for it to be for fantasy and for whatever. I think we're there.
Do you make anything of the A-dot thing? That's what everyone's saying, the low A-dot, like Herbert, it's late stage Breeze kind of role. It's just ridiculous, right? He's
the stupidest. This is stats. This is what stats rot people's brains from the inside,
right,
and make them eat at the Russell Gage Cafe.
Right.
And we love it. We'll take their money,
sure,
but we feel like we have to feed them brain food. We have to try to pump up their IQs. It's so dumb. Have you watched the man play? Not you.
Yeah.
Anybody who would make that argument, I've seen it. It's all screens. All his numbers are fake. Have you watched the man play? He has a howitzer,
a laser rocket,
his body, a laser rocket arm. I think it's crazy. Anyway, I don't think the line's crazy. If the Jags cover here, but any argument that says Justin Herbert isn't a stud, I think I'm not amenable to. All right, we are on to the Rams, the other LA team. I guess the primary LA team. Mm-hmm. Let's face it, LA doesn't have a primary team. No. We're all going to be out surfing or I don't know, spying on
real tacos. Yes.
Is she still a thing? I don't know. I have no idea. The Rams are at Arizona, the site of a very humiliating playoff loss for Kyler Murray last season in the wild card round, and on the road the Rams are a 3.5-point favorite.
Yeah, I think I'm giving the points. I think it's the superior team. The Cardinals are just bad. I think last week was obviously fun for fans of long plays, but the Raiders were their own problem there. They got in their own way. That the Cardinals aren't very good. So
the only thing that you get scared about is just Kyler can do that.
Sure. He can buy.
He can just decide to. He didn't really run very much in the first half. It was a very boring offense, and then he just somebody clicked the little
just took off,
adjustable setting on the back of his neck, and he just went, oh okay,
sure.
I'll just start running and be amazing, and that's the thing can wreck it. But yeah, I'm on the Rams here too. Is the Rams defense good now? Is it still good?
Oof, I don't think so. I don't know. When you have this much turnover, there has to be a cost at some point, right? They really do overhaul. It's so top heavy. They just keep overhauling every year. I don't do IDP rankings anymore, but when I did,
I know.
But when I did, it was so vexing because every year they would clear the depth chart. The thing is, the Bobby Wagner investment, it's not. He's not going to cover up coverage issues they have in that back seven. No, Taylor Rapp's not a good safety. I say all that, but again, it's one of these personnels. I don't think Greg Dortch and these guys are going to punish them. So
maybe Rondale Moore plays, probably not.
Yeah, doesn't look like it. But.
So I'll say that defense. I just don't think the Bills are a fair comparison.
Right.
Bills are wrecking everybody.
Yeah.
And last week, that defense didn't get super challenged, but it was okay. And I frankly don't think the Falcons are as bad. We'll talk about them.
Right.
I don't think they're as bad as everybody thought. They stood up. They held up. They were okay. The thing, Von Miller came for the very end of last season, so it's easy to say, well, he wasn't even part of the team. He was a rental and then he left. Well, they felt like they needed to rent him. If there's anything here that I feel like is missing, maybe it is pass rush.
That extra
Aaron
edge
Donald,
rusher.
the beast up the middle, but the edge rusher feels like maybe not. Packers are going to go to Tampa Bay. The receiverless Buccaneers with a very frustrated Tom Brady. That line was 3, and it has dropped down to 1 or 1.5, which means on a neutral field, the Packers would be favored? Question mark, question mark, question mark?
I think it's actually the Cole Beasley effect. It cost them 1.5 points. So I think that's how that works. When you sign the ultimate Florida man to Florida, it just everything goes that way.
Here's what I'll say about that. Isn't that like insider trading then? Couldn't we like check the DraftKings accounts of all the Buccaneers executives who signed Cole Beasley, who got a better line and then bet on themselves?
Probably should. I mean,
like scandal.
If those guys knew how to hedge, I think it would show up more in their secondary. But like, so
they would also invest in the Russell Gage Cafe, which they have not yet.
No, first of all, the emails, our email is working. Okay, it's not going to spam. But this opened to 3.5, like you said, in some spots. I'm going to take the points. I just think Tampa really is missing this much talent. Like it's just, there's that much missing. I'm taking the points with Green Bay. Like it's the point total tells me it's like a 40-point total. So it's like this is going to be a muck. I just think it favors the better defensive roster, the better, deeper team, which I think is the Packers at this point.
Really? I don't know, man. I think the Buccaneers defense is really good.
They are really good. I think they're missing like that natural edge rush that they had. Like they didn't really replace that the last couple of years. Like this guy Joe Tyron, whatever his name is, like they haven't hit on one of these like new edge rushers yet. So maybe I'm wrong.
Okay, well I'm going to take Tampa. Not even, I'm clearly not a homer for Brady because last week I did not take Tampa. This week, do I feel like the Packers answered all their questions against the Bears? I don't. I still don't think they have anybody to throw to. This is the receiverless bowl.
Right.
I'm going to take Tampa.
What would this point total be if Devontae Adams and Mike, you know what I mean? Like if receivers were playing, like it'd be incredible.
Yeah, well, Devontae Adams isn't on that roster anymore, but imagine Mike Evans and Chris Godwin were playing. What would the line be?
Right, I'm just saying like the total, like a year ago, just like how receivers don't, how receivers could influence like our expectation. It'd be a 50-point total. So,
all right, a scintillating game. The Falcons are going to travel all the way back across the country again, I guess, to Seattle, or else they stayed there. I don't know. I'm not checking in on the beat reports from the Falcons, but I do know that Arthur Smith has access to planes, so maybe they just got on the. Like a freighter, like one of those.
He's been living at Home Depots on the way. So
FedEx stopping at Home. No, he's a FedEx guy. He's not a Home Depot guy. He's FedEx all the way.
Atlanta?
So they're mailing themselves.
Atlanta? Really?
They're mailing. No, am I wrong about that?
I think he's Home Depot.
Oh, I thought he was FedEx. We're gonna have. Tell us down in the comments who was right. Is Arthur Smith FedEx or is he Home Depot? Pretty sure.
I think Tennessee's FedEx, but no, Arthur Smith. You're right. I'm sorry. You're right. Arthur Smith. I meant the owner of the team, Arthur Blank.
Right.
So we had our art. We had an art off there. So
yeah. We did have an art off. All right. Well, anyway, after that's been solved, and the Falcons are seriously going to mail themselves to Seattle. We've got the Seahawks somehow are a favorite. I don't know. I don't want to say somehow. Falcons aren't good.
They're not very good.
But just weird to say the Seahawks not very good being a favorite, and especially when everybody had decided they're going to win one game all year. They're a -2.
I also just think that somehow Arthur Smith has a decided coaching advantage in this one. Like I just think.
Wow.
Yeah.
You don't like PD Sunshine?
Not this year so much. I mean, here the only thing that I have going for us, this might be our last season ever with a Geno at quarterback. Like,
oh, it's sad.
No, not just a Geno in general, like any Geno. Like it's just what's the chances?
What I mean.
Whereas there's gonna be more Marcuses along the way. There's just because of popularity of the name. So it makes me want to give the points, but I can't because I think Seattle is just really is actually the worst roster between these two. So I'm going to take the points with Atlanta.
The Falcons haven't looked that bad up front on either line. Offensive lines look pretty good. Defensive lines look pretty good. The quarterback is like I keep saying, like super budget.
Yes,
Jalen Hurts.
It is.
Like obviously not as
RPO.
Good. Yeah. Yeah, he can make it work, and this is the NFL now. It's sort of like the college game, so I don't think it's crazy line, but I do have the Falcons here. The Sunday night game is the 49ers going to Denver, whose fans apparently may not feel so positive about their coach. I don't know if you've heard that story, Dave Piper. Maybe while you're making this video, link to your own video about the clock management of the Denver Broncos. The look-ahead line had Denver as a 3-point favorite. This has swung all the way to Niners as a 1.5-point road favorite. Gee, do you think the Broncos have a publicity problem?
I mean, fading Hackett is like Russell Wilson's favorite Christian rock band.
Fading Hackett.
Yeah, no, like I was excited to get points. If I was at first, I was excited like the prospect of getting points. But this one's tough. I'm actually going to go with Denver. I'm going to take the points. I think Denver wins at home here. I think there's a little bit of an overreaction to everything that's happened through these first 2 weeks, and a little bit of reaction to the Jimmy G installed and changes everything thing. They're good.
Honestly, to me, that's why I'm taking San Francisco.
Okay, yeah. They're just
I'm going to believe they are. Denver, well, I know who they are. Yeah, right. And like, I'm going to maybe now that I've seen Denver do this twice, I'm going to kind of believe that this is who they are until they show me otherwise. Sure. And if I lose this game, I'm okay with it. I'm going to kind of just like believe my eyes from previous years, knowing that with Garoppolo, the 49ers are just solid. Like they probably don't have as much upside, but they easily don't have as much downside. Yeah, with Garoppolo quarterback.
And you talked me into this. And Surtain's hurt is what bothers me a little bit with Denver. So
I guess, except for, do I need to worry about the outside against the 49ers? Right. Like, all I care about is, oh my God, Debo's gonna run for 80 yards again.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think, I wish this line had stayed with Denver favored. That would have been, I would really, I still would have thought the Niners should be favored, but I'm going to take the Niners. Are you did you change your mind?
No, I'm sticking with the Broncos. I'm getting the points at home.
All right, Monday night, the most played national TV game of our lifetime for some reason. Can we just stop with this? Cowboys at Giants. I'm sure all of the Giant fans in the chat below and who are watching us right now are being completely reasonable about their team's 2-0 start and are not overreacting and thinking that they're going to the Super Bowl and Brian Daboll is Coach of the Year. This opened at Giants -4.5 and was bet down immediately all the way to Giants -1.
Yeah, I mean, as somebody like as a neckbeard guy, I just have to say. Like, the Brian Daboll love is going to get out of hand at some point, right? Like, just give me neckbeard nation. But this is gross. Give me the Cowboys. This is disgusting. I think Micah Parsons is going to be the best player in the field at any given time. And I know that's not a good thing because you don't want a defensive end to be the best player on the field. But he is, and I think he's going to influence this game. It's a kicking line, so I'm going to take – in a mucked-up game, I'm going to take the team with the superlative player, and I think Parsons has like a 3-sack, just TJ Watt game. So,
Cowboys yes. For me +1. I don't have hesitation. I think they should be favored. And how this line ever started, Giants -4.5, I don't understand. Wish I'd gotten that particular line. You want to talk about ADOT. You want to talk about what an offense is. The Giants are what they're claiming Justin Herbert is. That offense can't go down the field because the line can't block anybody, and no thanks. I don't believe the Giants 2-0 start is for real. All that's left is to pick our best bet of the week. We are each 1-1 so far with our best bets. Which one are you taking?
I think the Chargers is my pick. I know it's a lot of points. I just think it's a superior team, and I'm riding with what I think is one of these like blue chip teams. This line would be bigger, like you said. Obviously, had they closed out the Chiefs, this line would be 10.5 probably. So I'm willing to give that many points for sure.
All right. I don't want to do the same pick again. Okay, it was a tie. It was basically a tie for me. So I'm not taking the Chargers. It's fine. You get first pick. No problem. Sometimes I'll still go with the same pick. I'll take the Bills. With the same logic. I'm just going to decide to ride the super team and say, yep, they can blow everybody out until they show me that they can't blow everybody out. Like, they killed the Rams on the road. Do I think the Dolphins are as good as the Rams? I do not. Like, the transitive property doesn't always work, obviously.
Sure.
Divisional game, whatever, yada, yada. I'm going to say Bills -6 is my best bet. We have had fun doing this. We thank DraftKings for sponsoring. Again, if you have a hankering to play the games, if you want to download the DraftKings app or go to DraftKings.com, use our code HarrisTube to start an account. For our producer, Dave Piper, who you're hearing every week on the silliest thing I saw all week video on the channel. And for Jim McCormick, who, despite being a wonderful co-owner of the Russell Gage Cafe, is banned from there until he gets COVID.
Two negative tests. Yeah. So
two negative tests, and you can come back to the cafe. My name is Chris. Oh, we want you to give us your best bet down in the comments, and we'll again pick someone who gets it right, and we'll shout them out on next week's show. Thank you so much for watching. Click the little bell wherever that is. Subscribe and click the bell so you always get a notification that we have a new video, and we really appreciate you. Thanks a lot. See ya. Thanks so much for watching. Please, please, please smash that like button, write a comment, tell us who else you'd like to see us review film on, and of course, best of all, please subscribe to our channel and then click that little bell above the subscribe button and you'll be notified whenever we post a new video.